Hey gang, welcome back to Let's Level Up. My name is Rick, and today we're going to be talking about Fantasy Flight's new game, Game of Thrones Westeros Intrigue. Now, I bought this for $10 on Amazon. I think the MSRP is something like $15 or something like that if you pick it up in your FLGS. I was expecting a Game of Thrones game. I didn't know much about Westeros Intrigue before I bought it. It was very much an impulse buy, but for the price, I figured why the heck not? Fantasy Flight has had a lot of other cool games come out around $10, and the micro game is really kind of big right now, so I didn't think I was missing out on much. Well, I'm actually a little bit disappointed in this game, not because of the game itself and how it's played, but because of the theme. This game is not a game about backstabbing each other. This game is not about a game of who has the mightiest army or anything like that. So the flair of the world of Westeros and the Game of Thrones itself kind of falls flat here. Westeros Intrigue is merely a color matching game, and basically we're going to have the King's Court, which is going to be composed of our cards, who are each colored of a different house. So the Baratheons are yellow, the Starks are gray, the Targaryens are black, the Lannisters are red, so on and so forth. And we're going to be able to play those along the road. Now, if we can't play a card, we're out of the turn and we're eliminated, and we take a basically penalty chips equal to the number of cards that we have left in our hand. Last person standing in the round wins the round. They get a throne of an Iron Throne card, and basically we play again until we play a number of rounds equal to the number of players. Now, it's a very, very simple game, and when we hit the table, I'll show you a little bit of how it works. But the theme for me just isn't there. So let's take a look at it on the table, and you can see for yourself. The latest addition to the Fantasy Flight Games Game of Thrones universe is Game of Thrones Westeros Intrigue. This is a card game designed for 2 to 6 players by Reiner Knizia. I've got a small gripe with this game right out of the bat. First off, I really like small, cheap games like this. I think they're really cool filler games that you can put on your shelf. However, there is a big gray area when it comes to intellectual property and having the rights to IPs and really delivering a game that has nothing to do with the IP. That's Westeros Intrigue. This is a color matching game where basically we're going to be playing one color at a time and trying to get rid of our cards before our opponents do. Now, the way that the Game of Thrones universe comes into play here is that each of the colors is representative of a different house of Westeros and beyond. So we have House Targaryen, we have House Stark, House Baratheon, House Lannister, and each of those are different colors. Now, other than that, there's really no Other than that, there's really no other parallel to the actual Game of Thrones universe. Now, they have pictures from the TV series on here, and some of them are, a nice portrait of some of your favorite characters, and that'd be nice. But if you're looking at the game that you want to get that's going to immerse yourself into the Game of Thrones universe, Westeros Intrigue is absolutely not it. Now, if you're looking for a really easy-to-play game for 2 to 6 players that you can play in as little as a half hour, Westeros Intrigue may be really good for you. Now, this is a color matching game, so basically what we're going to be doing is building a pyramid up here. Bottom row is going to have 8 cards, and then it's going to get lower and lower as we go up. And that pyramid is going to consist of the different house cards. So, for instance, here we have some of the cards here that could be played into the game. Now, if we flip this card over, you can see that this is Eddard Stark of House Stark, and you can see that his color is kind of a silver-gray color. And here we have Daenerys Targaryen, who has a black color. So we're essentially going to be playing these cards and building a pyramid as they go up. And there are rules that I'll play depending on how you can play your cards. If you have the most cards, or for every card that you have in your hand at the end of the round, that's going to be a penalty on you as far as how many points you're going to be able to make. And at the end of a series of rounds, we're going to determine who has the most points and who wins the game. Now, if you take the Game of Thrones out of this game, and if these were just colors, or if these were something unique completely to this game, I think we'd have a much better game, one that I could immerse myself in. As a fan of the Game of Thrones universe, I can't help but ask why. And it's one of those things that it's just enough of a teaser as a fan to say, hey, I want a little bit more to hear. But this is almost like putting a sticker on another game and calling it Game of Thrones Monopoly, for instance, and I just put the names of Boardwalk and Park Place to be King's Landing and Harrenhal or something like that. Very poor example there on the last part, but I think you understand the point I'm trying to make. To set up for a 2-player game, we're going to deal 14 cards to each player, which I've already done. And then take the rest of the cards and put them back into the box. We're going to separate the Iron Throne cards out because these will represent the different penalties that we'll draw at the end of the turn. In Westeros Intrigue, the youngest player will go first. So what we're going to do is pick up our hand of cards, take a look at some of the different characters that we've got here. Got some yellows. Okay, so then the first player is going to choose one of their cards, and I'm just going to play Renly here in the middle of the bottom row, which is going to be known as the court. Now, the court is going to be composed of 8 cards, but 7 if you're only playing 2 players like we here. Whenever you play a card, you're going to play the first one always in the middle, and then cards are going to be played on top of them. Rather, to the sides of these other cards. So when this player goes, they're going to choose a card. And for instance, Robb Stark, and they're going to play to the left or to the right. Now, one of the rules of the game goes is that you can't actually play a card in between 2 of the colors. So if I wanted to play this character here, I just put him down adjacent to the right or to the left, to the right of Renly or to the left of Robb in order to actually successfully play that card. And now we can actually start going up now and playing higher in the pyramid. So as the game goes on, we have to keep in mind that this bottom court in a 2-player game can only contain up to 7 cards here. Now in any other game type, it's only going to be able to contain 8 cards. So eventually we're going to have no choice but to start building up. And we can build up at any time as long as we have 2 or more cards to build on top of. And what we're going to do is play a card that matches at least one of the colors of the 2 cards beneath it. So for instance, we can play Mathos Seaworth here, right there for House Baratheon, because the yellow matches the yellow. Now, for example, I wouldn't be able to play Shae right here because there's no Lannister card beneath it, just a Targaryen and a Baratheon, so Shae is not a legal placement. If at any point I do not have a card that is going to be able to match one of the colors, or I have no cards that I can play, I am eliminated from the round. Play is going to proceed in the round until there are no players left remaining. If you are the last player standing, you're going to be able to draw an Iron Throne card, put it in front of you. And at the end of the game, you're going to subtract any penalties you have against swords. And then whoever has the highest number, or rather the lowest score, the lowest number of penalty points is going to be able to win the game. So for instance, if I had this card, which gives me 5 swords, and I had 6 penalties, I have a score of -1. If that is the highest score, then I'm going to go ahead and be declared the winner. We're going to play a series of rounds equal to the number of players here as per the rules. So in a 2-player game, you're going to play 2 rounds of this. You're going to continue building this until you absolutely have no plays left available. At the end of the game, depending on how many cards that you have left in your hand, you're going to draw tokens equal to those numbers. So if you see here, we've got a 1 and a 5 chip. So if I had 5 cards left in my hand, I draw 5. If I had 3, I draw 3 ones, and then I'd have those in front of us, and this would be equal to our penalties here. This game plays very, very simply, and it's easy to... it has a lot of actually decent strategy involved in it too. My only gripe with it is that it's just not a Game of Thrones game. It doesn't fit, the theme doesn't fit. It's like they just put stickers on it. The cards are laid out beautifully. I love the stock. I even kind of like how this is a new, square type card. Of course, that means we have to buy different types of sleeves. But it doesn't feel like a Game of Thrones game to me. If I'm going to play a Game of Thrones game, I'd much rather play the 2nd edition board game or even the LCG Game of Thrones card game. This is a good filler game, though. So if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you may want to pick this up just because it is a Game of Thrones product, and it does have the cool artwork plus the different stills from the show of some of your favorite characters. If you're looking for a unique game, I don't necessarily know if this particular color matching game is going to fill that need, but it is still pretty fun. And at the end of the day, that's all that we can ask for in a game. So please follow us now for our final thoughts. So that's it for Game of Thrones Westeros Intrigue. Now, what do you think? Am I right on the money here, or am I just being a finicky gamer? I think Fantasy Flight has a lot of really cool IPs out, and they have made a lot of really good games in their day. And this game itself is not a bad game. Like I said, it's very fun. It just, to me, isn't anything with Game of Thrones. I mean, I like the fact that they put the characters' pictures on there, on the cards, and I think the cards themselves are well thought out and done, but I would like to see a little bit more ability, a little bit more backstabbing, a way for me to trick my opponent into doing something that they may not want to do. More Westeros, you know what I'm saying? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd like to definitely take a look at that, and I think that's going to be it for Game of Thrones Westeros Intrigue. Now for the price, I'm happy. I'm happy with the game. I'm happy with how it plays. I can see us actually playing this from time to time in between other games. It's a good little filler game. It's just the theme itself is throwing me off so much to make me say, hey, you need to go and buy this because it's that much fun. It's kind of, it's a weird catch-22 with me right now. So I'd definitely like to hear what you guys think. Hit me up on Twitter, or hit me up in the comments below on YouTube, and let me know. We're at Let's Level Up or letslevelup.net on YouTube, and I'll be more than happy to get back with you there. Yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Like I said, if I had to say if it's a must-have or nice-to-have or it's okay to have, right now it's falling more on the okay-to-have side. I think for $10, if you already don't own a game like Resistance or Hanabi, I would definitely buy one of those first because those games are absolutely amazing. This one kind of fell flat for me a little bit, so again, I'd like to know what you think. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, but most importantly, game on.